Mount Vernon is happy to participate in National History Day again in 2019. Museums, like Mount Vernon, are great resources for students and their research like yours. Our collections are full of primary source documents, objects, images, and places. Plus, our staff is full of experts who are excited to share their knowledge of all things Washington and the 18th century with you and answer your questions. In fact, we have a couple staff members here who'd like to share possible topics for this year's Triumph and Tragedy and History theme.
A great example of triumph and tragedy in the founding era is Shays Rebellion and its connection to the Constitutional Convention over which George Washington presided. In the years after the Revolution, a lot of parts of the United States were facing economic depression, and the government of the United States, the Articles of Confederation, didn't have a good way of dealing with a lot of the debts that the government had accrued during the Revolution. One of those places was Massachusetts, where the legislature required people to pay their taxes in gold and silver. A lot of people didn't have gold and silver, and the farmers in western Massachusetts rebelled against payment of taxes and payment of debts. It brought to the attention of a lot of national leaders the need for a better system of government. And so George Washington and a lot of other national leaders started the effort to reform the government and create a new form of government, which led to the Constitutional Convention and eventually the creation of the U.S. Constitution.
One idea for a topic for this year's theme of tragedy and triumph is the story of Oni Judge. Oni Judge was enslaved here at Mount Vernon under George and Martha Washington. She, at the age of 10, was assigned to be a personal maid to Martha Washington, so she helped her with all sorts of things. She laid out her clothes every day, she mended her clothing, she helped Martha Washington dress and bathe. And Oni Judge was actually brought with the Washingtons to their household in Philadelphia during George Washington's presidency. And while she was there, Oni Judge made the decision to escape slavery. She decided that she wanted to be free. She managed to secure passage on a ship to New Hampshire, and despite the Washingtons' efforts to recapture her over the years, she managed to remain in New Hampshire and live as a free woman. She had to live in hiding. She lived in poverty for much of her life. But there's actually an interview with her when she is an elderly woman, and she talks about her decision to run away. And she's asked whether she regrets running away because her life has been so difficult since, and she says that she doesn't, because she can now live as a free woman. And so her story really gets at the tragedy of slavery, the fact that enslaved people didn't have control over their lives, and the triumph of this one woman's journey to achieve freedom and live the rest of her life on her own terms.
Another great topic is inoculation in the 18th century. George Washington had to deal with smallpox when he started off as the commander-in-chief of the Continental Army, and he noticed his troops were getting really sick. So it's a tragedy that he's going into war, he has sick troops, how is he going to triumph with this? So he looks into inoculation as a possible area that can help out with getting his troops back and in better health.
What about focusing on the Mount Vernon Ladies Association for your research? Did you know that George Washington's home, Mount Vernon, is owned and operated by a group of women? They were the first organization in the United States founded solely for the purpose of historic preservation, specifically for the protection of Washington's home. In the 1850s, the Washington family members who owned Mount Vernon didn't have enough money to take care of it, so the mansion and grounds were neglected and almost in ruins. During a time when most women couldn't even own property, the Mount Vernon Ladies Association raised the money to purchase and maintain this large historic home. They fit this year's theme really well because they triumphed over everyone's preconceptions about what a group of women was capable of and prevented the destruction of Washington's estate, which would have been such a tragedy. Much of what we know about historic preservation today originated with these smart, strong ladies.
To find out more information about these topics and other topics, visit our website, mountvernon.org/NHD. Good luck on your projects!